Have you ever heard footsteps in the darkness, even when you were alone? Have you felt the chill of being watched by invisible eyes? Long before the agile, silent ninjas appeared in feudal Japan, medieval Europe was already the stage for nocturnal hunters cloaked in shadow. These were not ghosts, but real men, trained to move like specters and strike without being seen. Warrior monks, silent assassins, spies in the service of kings and secret sects. Figures enshrouded in mystery who use the night as their ally. In this video, you will be guided along dark paths, through hidden orders, secret fortresses, and silent rituals. Prepare to discover the medieval specters who prowled the night whilst the world slept. And danger moved without a sound. For the men of the Middle Ages, night was more than the absence of light. It was the realm of the unknown, the dominion of hidden forces, and the stage for millennia-old fears. Darkness marked the end of the guarantees of the visible world. The flickering torchlight barely held at bay the omens dancing in the damp air, among moss-covered ramparts and beaten earth tracks. In an age when faith and fear walked hand in hand, night was the veil under which the most dangerous secrets hid. It was on this dark stage that figures as discreet as they were lethal emerged. Silent monks, shadowy messengers, assassins schooled in forgotten arts, and secret orders manipulating the destinies of the powerful. Whilst most folk retreated to their homes, locking doors with crosses and whispered prayers, these men rose as nocturnal predators. But who were these flesh and blood specters, really? Long before any mention of Japan's shinobi, Europe had its own shadow warriors. On the Iberian Peninsula, ancient accounts speak of small, secret bands infiltrating Muslim fortresses during the Reconquista. They did not seek open battle. Their mission was to gather intelligence, sabotage supplies, and, occasionally, eliminate a key enemy in silence. They operated with almost supernatural precision, vanishing into the darkness before dawn. They were known by many names: the Brothers of Silence, the King's Eyes, or simply those who do not exist. In France, the 12th century saw rumors of monks from a forgotten order living in the shadows of their abbeys. It was said that these monks shed their white habits at nightfall and donned cloaks as dark as death. They moved between villages, on espionage missions, safeguarding the church's secrets and investigating heresies. Many believed they were linked to the earliest clandestine movements of the Inquisition, even before it was formally established. Ambiguous references in period manuscripts speak of servants of the light who fight in darkness, blending religious metaphor with covert infiltration techniques. Further north, in the Ale of Scotland and Ireland, ancient clans maintained traditions mixing espionage with shamanic practices. They called themselves the Mistwalkers. They used the shadows not merely as cover, but as part of a ritual. They anointed themselves with herb-based oils that, according to the oldest tales, made them invisible to impure eyes. Their actions were precise but decisive, striking a guard, sabotaging a bridge, eliminating a messenger. Their exploits entered folklore, distorted between legend and reality, creating the figure of the Fog Hunter. A constant thread runs through all these groups: mastery of silence, strategic use of the night, and an aura of mystery. Few knew of their existence. Many doubted it, and that very doubt made them all the more effective. What is most intriguing is that, unlike conventional warriors, these specters sought neither fame nor recognition. Their power lay in invisibility, their strength in anonymity. They were the shadows behind kings, the silent daggers of history, the real ghosts who moved through the night leaving no trace, only consequences. In the heart of medieval Europe, while kings and feudal lords waged wars with vast armies, a parallel war raged in the shadows. Secret orders formed beyond the eyes of the populace, often within the very walls of castles or the silent depths of fortified monasteries. They carried no banners, only hidden seals. Their members did not march in formation but slithered through corridors and subterranean tunnels. They were the eyes and ears, and, when necessary, the hand that pressed the blade against history's throat. The most famous of these orders, though shrouded in controversy, was the Assassins of Alamut in the Middle East. Their tactics crossed deserts and influenced European practices via the Crusades. European soldiers, especially the Templars and Hospitallers, came into direct contact with these masters of infiltration. They struck with surgical precision and escaped without a trace. Though not European, the reputation of Alamut's order echoed through Christian courts, inspiring the first whispers of similar groups in the West. In letters preserved by Cistercian monks, there are mentions of imitators from the East, training in woodland silence to move like leaves on the wind. Within the Holy Roman Empire, a faction known only as the Grey Hand is said to have emerged. Never officially recorded, its alleged members were monk soldiers and second-tier clerics, men beyond the reach of conventional politics, but fiercely loyal to the protection of empire and church. Oral tradition describes them as hooded figures patrolling abbey corridors by night, ready to intervene in cases of betrayal, heresy, or noble conspiracy. They swore total loyalty through an ancient ritual involving burnt scrolls and drops of blood spilled on a stone altar. These men were not merely warriors, they were scholars. They knew languages, secret symbols, and cipher codes. They carried rings with hidden compartments, reversible cloaks, and specially crafted boots that left no footprints. They could vanish into crowds, hide among market traders, or pose as beggars. Among their most feared skills was the use of poison, a knowledge acquired through cultural exchange with Arab and Byzantine alchemists. It was said that a single touch to a chalice was enough to seal a count's fate. In England, under the reign of Henry II, a group serving the crown appears in chronicles as the Lion's Eyes. They operated in volatile regions, infiltrating gatherings of suspicious nobles and preempting rebellions before they could gain momentum. One curious account tells of Theobald, a humble servant who thwarted an ambush against the king by silently killing 2 rebel knights. He vanished immediately afterwards, never to be seen again. Legend has it, he was taken in by a secret order that had watched over the throne since time immemorial. More than mere killers, these nocturnal specters were instruments of control. They wielded fear as a tool and silence as a message. Rumor of their presence was enough to quell dissent, and a fleeting glimpse of them was enough to unravel entire conspiracies. Even today, in some villages of Central Europe, elders tell of dark-cloaked men emerging from the trees and dissipating like mist. Some call them ghosts, others avenging angels. Yet there are those who swear they were, and perhaps still are, far more real than we dare admit. Over the centuries, these agents of darkness became fixtures of popular imagination. The line between history and legend grew ever thinner. But how can one distinguish myth from reality when the witnesses themselves vanished into the shadows? Still, traces endured, fragments of accounts, hidden codes in parchments, ruins of forgotten fortresses, and, most importantly, oral traditions that, though distorted by time, kept alive the memory of these night hunters. In the Loire Valley region, for instance, a 1298 manuscript kept under lock and key in an abandoned abbey mentions a figure known only as the Whisperer. He was said to be an envoy of the warrior monks of Burgundy, whose mission was to infiltrate castles and sow discord among nobles allied with the Cathars. Wherever he passed, alliances crumbled in silence, oaths were broken, and someone always died under inexplicable circumstances. His presence coincided with the political weakening of Cathar sympathizers in the region. In Italy, particularly in Florence and Venice, groups of night watchers were employed by powerful families such as the Medici. Unlike classic spies, these agents combined theater, astrology, and alchemy. They mingled at festivities disguised as bards or astrologers, yet secretly gathered vital information on betrayals and plots. Some historians assert their methods prefigured the political surveillance systems formalized later in Renaissance courts. A 15th-century Florentine document refers to them as figli delle ombre, children of the shadows. But it was not only the nobility who benefited from these figures. In certain realms, peasants believed that silent elders or marginal women were linked to these night orders. They were seen as secret protectors, sent to maintain justice in times of tyranny. Often, when a feudal lord abused his power, these specters appeared on fog-laden nights, leaving behind only a body and a symbol carved into wood, a hand, an eye, or an inverted cross. These symbolic gestures fed the legend. The open hand symbol, for instance, has been found carved on church doors around Bavaria. Some archaeologists claim they were simply old carpenters' marks, but others argue they were warning codes, signals that something had been adjusted. Behind the scenes, a silent justice executed without trial. Even after the Middle Ages ended, the idea of invisible men shaping the fate of the powerful did not vanish. On the contrary, it evolved. Renaissance spies, secret agents of European empires, masters of disguise and manipulation, all direct heirs of the medieval night specter tradition. Many principles used today by intelligence services, such as infiltration, silent information gathering, and the use of unacknowledged agents, echo perfectly what these men practiced. Among the cold stones of castles, even in modern novels and films, we can see their shadow. Characters like the silent assassin, the invisible vigilante, or the mysterious warrior monk are, in essence, stylized versions of these forgotten medieval agents. Pop culture absorbed their forms, but lost, in part, the historical weight they once carried, the fact that, yes, they existed, and were active cogs in the machinery of power. Today, as you walk down a medieval alley by moonlight or explore a silent crypt beneath a Gothic cathedral, something of that era may yet remain. A whisper in the dark, an inexplicable chill at the nape of your neck, the sense that even now there are eyes watching, eyes trained in the darkness of centuries past. Throughout this journey through the shadows of the Middle Ages, we have seen that history is not made only by kings on gilded thrones or armies marching under the sun. Often, the destinies of empires were shaped by invisible hands, men and women who acted in the silence of night, far from public glory, but close to real power. They bore no names in the official chronicles, yet without them, many chapters of history would have been written very differently. These real specters, schooled in the art of disappearance, were the forgotten forerunners of a long lineage of secret agents, spies, and masters of subterfuge. Their techniques, rituals, and symbolism have left marks that persist, not only in hidden documents and regional legends, but also in the structures of modern intelligence organizations, in the archetypes of pop culture, and perhaps even in the inexplicable sensations we experience when we feel something watching us in the dark. More than hidden warriors, they were living manifestations of an age when fear and faith walked hand in hand. And darkness was not merely a physical space, it was an invisible battlefield. Medieval night was not empty, it was inhabited, and its inhabitants, though concealed, were as real as any hero in shining armor. Now tell me, what if some of those secrets never fully vanished? What if, in some forgotten alley or stone-walled cellar, one of these orders still keeps silent? Watch. If this mystery sent shivers down your spine or piqued your curiosity, share in the comments what else you would like to explore in this universe of shadows. And remember, sometimes what you do not see matters.